I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
You see everything in black and white.
Not black and white. Right or wrong?
Paramount Pictures presents.
If I go down,
Hold on.
you're going with me.
Harrison Ford in the summer's most explosive thriller.
Watch your back, Jack.
I will not let you dishonor their memories by pretending you had nothing to do with it.
How dare you bark at me? I am the President of the United States.
How dare you, sir?
Clear and Present Danger. Rated PG-13 at theaters Wednesday, August 3rd.
Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. This is a PayPal request for Albin. Thank you so much for that. If anyone ever wants to send in a PayPal request for review of a movie or a topic or whatever else, pretty much whatever else, my PayPal link is down below, or you can join me on my Patreon, which the link to that is down below too. But one of the films Albin wanted me to review is Clear and Present Danger, which I remember seeing this film a couple times back in the day and still enjoy it. Even though it's a lengthy movie, pretty lengthy running time, I never got bored because I was intrigued by the story. And Harrison Ford once again plays Jack Ryan. He played him before in Patriot Games. This is from the same director, Phillip Noyce, who did Patriot Games, which I just uploaded that review. Should be the same day as this gets uploaded. But yeah, Phillip Noyce did Dead Calm, Blind Fury, which I enjoy. After this, he would do The Saint, which I don't care for. I think The Bone Collector, which I haven't seen in forever. But this, I would say Blind Fury is my favorite Phillip Noyce film, but this is, I would probably say, the second favorite of mine of the director. Because I do think, I don't mind Patriot Games. I thought it was above average, really helped by Harrison Ford's performance. This one, I thought the story was a bit more intriguing. Maybe that's why the running time didn't bother me. You still have a good cast. Harrison Ford really makes Jack Ryan his own. I think he's the best actor to play the Jack Ryan character. He could be a badass, but he also brings a sense of humanity to the character. He is the new CIA acting deputy director because James Earl Jones, who had that, who's his buddy, he's now sick with cancer. So he's become the lead of that. Sadly, people underneath him or working with him are keeping him in the dark because people in the government, including the president, here played by Donald Moffat, which was cool because I remember him from John Carpenter's The Thing. He's the guy in The Thing. It's like, well, you got the time. I don't want to spend the rest of the winter tied to this fucking couch. That's Donald Moffat in The Thing. So it was cool to see him as the president here. Pretty much the president, these other guys, they're doing a covert war on a drug cartel in Colombia. And Harrison Ford doesn't know this, and he's trying to figure this out. And then you have these mercenaries led by Willem Dafoe. You also have this actor Raymond Cruz, which I've seen him in a couple other films. I think he was also in Alien Resurrection, I believe. He's been in quite a few other movies. And I thought Willem Dafoe did a really nice job here. It was cool to see him and Harrison Ford work together on the same team. The story, I like the idea that it's the government, the U.S. itself, that are, in a weird way, the villains. part of the villains in this. It's not just the drug cartels of Colombia. It's the U.S., which I'm not... Right, that's not an original idea. But I guess I like that because... I'm the type of guy that doesn't trust the government a tremendous amount. I could see someone watching this film and thinking, this Donald Moffat reminds me of a certain president, but I'm not going to go into all that stuff. But you can, but I'm not going to go into that stuff. That's a whole can of worms I don't want even open. I'm one of those guys, I don't trust anyone in the government, both Republican or Democrat. I don't like either one, because I think they both are full of it. That's just me, though. But it made the story intriguing. The setup of the film, there's this yacht found where there's dead businessman and his family, and they happen to be friends of the president, and then you get the idea the dead businessman was working with the drug cartel and, skimming money, and sort of this business unfolding, Harrison Ford trying to look deeper and deeper into this, and then you have a lot of opposition for Harrison Ford's character, whether it be his own government or the Colombian drug cartel. It just really makes you feel for Harrison Ford's character, like he had this big obstacle that this character has to overcome. And you also have a couple interesting people. For example, Dean Jones. Yes, from the original The Love Bug. Dean Jones has a tiny role in this as one of the higher up guys. He's not in the film much, but I'm going, is that the fucking guy from The Love Bug? Like Herbie? Is this what happened after he drove Herbie? He went to the government, and I don't remember his name, so maybe it's the same character. Not really, but I mean, that'd be funny. Yeah, I drove this car one day. Long ago. It's just weird, like Dean Jones. I mean, granted, he's an actor. He should be able to work, of course. But just, again, the only thing I remember him from is these old Disney movies like Herbie, the Love Bug. I'm like, it's fucking Dean Jones. But yeah, Harrison Ford under his nose, the higher ups sending this mercenary team to do all these secret missions. And I think that also helps too, because you're able to sprinkle in action sequences along with the story, which you couldn't do a lot in Patriot Games. But here, okay, mercenaries go in and they fuck up a underground drug lab, or they blow up this building, or they target and they blow up this facility where these drug kingpins are at. So you're able to sprinkle action sequences throughout that I think does help with the pacing of the movie. And yeah, I thought there's other recognizable people, but I can't remember their names. But I think if you see the film, like some of the bad guys I recognize. I'm like, he looks familiar, but I should look it up. I should have looked it up before I started recording. But yeah, as the movie goes along, you do have James Horner coming back to do the score, and he does a good job, like he did with Patriot Games. Yet again, it's one of those scenes, and I mentioned it when I reviewed Patriot Games, that the more you hear James Horner and his composing of musical scores, the more you realize he really did steal from himself a lot. And again, while I do think it's a good score, once in a while you'd hear a piece of music, but you're like, wait a minute, I remember hearing that in Aliens. Wait a minute, what's that? And it just does take you out a little bit. Well, at least for me, a bit, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, I'm like, okay, I don't mind it, but at the same time, I'm like, huh. Like, that seems familiar, but at the same time, it might not bother other people. I still think most of the score is good. But yeah, the two villains, one is Miguel Sandoval. I'm like, I recognize this guy. He was in a lot of bit parts. He was in a bit part in Jurassic Park. He was in Collateral Damage. He was in Bloodfather. Hector Vasquez in Death Wish 5. He was in Ricochet, which is a good one. And then that guy's the higher up, the main drug kingpin, but really the main villain is this other guy who's sort of a subordinate that's fucking him over. An actor called Joaquim de Almeida. I know I recognize this guy from stuff. Oh yeah, he was the bad guy in Desperado. The main bad guy in Desperado, Bucho. That's where I recognize him from. And I enjoyed Desperado. Yeah, he's the main bad guy in Desperado. That's right. And he did that after this. He was also one of the main bad guys in Behind Enemy Lines, which I enjoyed, with Owen Wilson. So yeah, Behind Enemy Lines and Desperado, that's where I remember him from. He was also in The Hitman's Bodyguard. And a supporting role in Fast 5. So that was, yeah. I mean, I knew I recognized that guy. And there are some good dialogue exchanges near the end of the film. You see this in the trailer where the president is trying to talk his way out of it, and Harrison Ford goes, "I will not let you dishonor their memories. How dare you? How dare you, sir?" Or the president's giving some shit, and then Harrison Ford goes, "Sorry, Mr. President, I don't dance." And it's like, yeah, once again, Jack Ryan is a fucking badass. He's a guy who doesn't take shit, even from the President of the United States. Pretty much, he didn't say this, but he pretty much told the President to go fuck himself. And again, I thought that was really, really cool. Harrison Ford does a really great job. He's definitely made Jack Ryan his own, and I heard he only got to play twice. I don't know if there's talks of him doing other movies with the Jack Ryan character, but it would have been nice to see. I mean, I know Sum of All Fears is technically a prequel, but that would have been interesting if you took the same movie and just not do the prequel story, but maybe have the same setup. Well, again, Ben Affleck wasn't the problem with that, so even if Harrison Ford is in it. I just remember Sum of All Fears being pretty boring and forgettable more than anything. It's like, I like Ben Affleck, I like Morgan Freeman, but it's like, I don't know. But you get some nice action in the finale where Harrison Ford and Willem Dafoe have to go into the jungles to try to rescue some of the men. Raymond Cruz, also Benjamin Bratt, who was in films like Demolition Man, Catwoman, but he has a small supporting role. So you get some nice action bits in there. The best action scene, can't forget this, is excellently well-crafted, solid direction where Harrison Ford is part of this convoy and the bad guys are shooting rockets and they're blowing up like the front car of the convoy and the back car. So both cars blown up, they're trapped, and then the car Harrison Ford is trying to go back and forth, and Harrison Ford is moving the car at one point, trying to dodge these fucking rockets and trying to save some of these men, and the whole chaos, but yet it's not shaky cam, it's not poorly edited, practical explosions, well done stunt work, real cars with real fire. I'm like, man, it's not impossible to do. Watch films like this, where they did it all for real. And it's expertly done. To me, it's easily one of the best parts of the movie. He backs up the vehicle and it barely gets out of there in time. Just a well done scene. And there's this other guy, I forget the actor's name, but I remember him from the first Mission Impossible movie. And there's a point where even that guy, he's a supporting role, like one of the villains in the American government. And I remember this scene where he's monitoring this airstrike, and the guy just sits back and goes, boom. And I don't know why, something like that sticks in my mind, because like, oh, you motherfucker. Because that's an airstrike where some kids get killed, and man, this motherfucker doesn't care. He's a fucking piece of shit, but he's supposed to be a piece of shit. And again, I thought the actors did their jobs well. Harrison Ford was on his A game once again. When the action scenes happened, they were expertly done. I was intrigued by the story. I understood what was going on. I thought the pacing, it kept on a good note, that it didn't get boring or a slog to sit through. At least to me, it didn't. I was pulled into the story. I liked Willem Dafoe as an actor. He wasn't being over the top hamming it. He played the job well. I like how, in a way, it's almost like two films, because the first film is more of the political thriller, and then it becomes a bit more of almost like a jungle action movie in the third act, or even the second half, and that was kind of fun. I would say it's kind of a movie that I like the beginning, but it got better as it went along, which is good, because it ends on a strong note. And yeah, Clear and Present Danger I enjoy. I think it's a good movie. It's solid entertainment. If you're a Harrison Ford fan, definitely check it out. And I thought it handled the politics just fine for what it is, and it didn't get bogged down too much, because I thought that the story itself was interesting enough, and I did Harrison Ford, and just the good cast all went around. I did have people like James Earl Jones and Willem Dafoe and so forth, and it was nice. Sam Jackson does not return. He was in Patriot Games, but this is 94, and I think that's the same time Pulp Fiction, so I mean, it made sense. I mean, Sam Jackson do Pulp Fiction, much bigger role than any role that would be in this movie. So again, that makes perfect sense. Ann Archer does return as the wife. She's not in it as much as in Patriot Games, but the few bits she's in there, she still does a fine job. But I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that I'm missing in the cast. I should look it up real quick. Thora Birch plays the daughter Sally Ryan. Again, she's not in the film that much, but okay, Sally Ryan. I mean, Thora Birch. But, yeah, I can't think of anybody else in the flick, but yeah, good movie. When it came out, it did well at the box office. Did fairly decent with the critics. I'm not even sure what it has on IMDb. Of course, it's based on the Tom Clancy novel, like Patriot Games and Hunt for Red October. 6.9 on IMDb. Oh, I think it would be a little bit higher than that. And I should stop the review, but I'm just curious about any trivia. Probably not. The film originally received an R rating, but won a PG-13 on appeal without making any edits. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's not an R-rated film. PG-13 is a rating that fits it. Extras from James Horner's score were taken directly from a piece of music from Aliens. I already knew that. See, I knew I wasn't... A huge chunk of Ann Archer's part ended up on the cutting room floor. Yeah, I can see that. Because like I said, she's not in the film as much as compared to like Patriot Games. But at the same time, I mean, it worked for the story. If it streamlined the story better, and it's a pretty lengthy film as is, it's understandable. I guess, differences from the book, which that's hard to adapt a book because you can't keep everything from the book. Otherwise, every movie would be like a little mini-series if you kept everything from the book, because with a book, you could take your time, read it, read parts of it each day. With a movie, they're hoping you see in the theater. You can't do that in the theater. Let me take a break and come back to the theater tomorrow. But yeah. I'll end it here. I'm just repeating myself. Thumbs up on Clear and Present Danger. Thank you once again, Albin, for the PayPal request. Thank you everyone for watching. Again, if you ever want to request something via PayPal, the link to that is down below. Or if you want to join me on my Patreon, the link for that is down below too. Take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.